Okay, today we opened up to the Pidei It's about Masao Matan. What's Masao Matan? Yadua she'she'ela rishona she'shoalim liyom adinu. What is one of the questions that a person is for? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of questions in Shammai. So the Gemara says, right? Shabbat, the Amud Aleph, he speaks over here. He says also that one of the major questions they ask the Day of Judgment is Nasata v'natata be'emunah. Were you honest in business? Now this is a big, strong question. This is a fundamental question. When you're honest in business, that's a hard question. And everybody is doing something, right? So now, were you honest in business? V'ata b'avonoten rabim, with our great sins, he says, Anshe emunah avadu. אומרים טענות של הבל, שבזמן הזה כשמזמן של אדם, ורוצה לדעת ביושב אמונה לא יוכל לאכול אפילו פת בלילה. Some people, they speak about shtuyot. They say, Rabbi, how do you expect me to make a living if I can't cheat? What do you mean? Look at that guy, look at that guy, look at that guy. He pulled the bankruptcy, and he pulled the bankruptcy, and he made this, and he made that. And look, what happened to him? He made it rich. He made it big. I want to tell you something. You have to understand that Kadosh Baruch Hu tests a person. He says, oh look, he did a sketch, he played around, and look, nothing happened to him. He didn't get punished. The Yetzer Hara tries to play with your brain. Oh look, nothing happened to him, nothing happened to me. I know a person, myself, a personal story that I know. This is a guy who pulled a BK, pulled a bankruptcy. And he owed one of my uncles in the tens of thousands. And I went over to him and I said, listen, I'm telling you honestly, I'll tell you like this. And I knew him, not so well, but I knew him. I said, I saw him at a wedding, said, I don't know what you're going through, and I'm sure you're going through a rough time right now, but all I know is that you owe people money. And hopefully one day you'll get on your feet and everything like that. I don't know. People were saying that he really had money in the bank. He just this, and people were saying all these things that he has really a lot of money. He just wanted to just cash out. So he said like this. So I told him, bottom line is, one of the questions, of course, I didn't tell him this, but one of the questions he's going to have to answer, were you honest in business? And I said, even if you owe the person the money, you're going to have to come back and give it to him. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And there's a famous story who I heard from my Rabbi Lamed. He learned many years by the Brisker of son, Rabbi Yosef in Israel, many years. Mordechai Lamed. And he says this story over from his Rabbi, who heard it from his Rabbi, all the way up to Rabbi Yisrael Salanta. Rabbi Yisrael Salanta heard it from Rav Chaim Volozhiner. And the story happened to Rav Chaim Volozhiner. Right? Again, this is a story that I'm hearing from rabbi to rabbi to rabbi to rabbi. And when my Rebbe said it over in Shir, he said it over in Shiur, and he said every single rabbi. I forgot every rabbi up the chain. But I know that there was a lot of rabbis to Rabbi Yisrael Salanta to Rav Chaim Volozhiner. This is a story. It happened to Rav Chaim Volozhiner. He was the first one to open a student of the Vilna Gaon. So you can imagine how far we're going back. And everybody, yes. Rabbi, a few hundred years ago, that's for sure. Now you're going to hear this maaseh. And that was, there was somebody sick in the yeshiva. One of the boys was sick in the yeshiva. And he wasn't feeling well. And he told Rosh Yeshiva, it's not going well. I need to rest up. I needed this. I needed that. And he was such in pain, this boy, that Rav Chaim Volozhiner saw it in his face that he needed that. He needed that. Otherwise, he needed that health. Otherwise, he could die. And he saw it. So he says, "Listen, we're gonna send you home right now." And he took one guy in the yeshiva, said, listen, you have to take care of him. He's on the brink of death. But take care of him, take him home. And he traveled, he lived a little bit far away, So as they're traveling, the sick boy, he needed rest. He needed rest before he got to his house. And they stopped out an inn. One of these inns they had, hotel, motel, inn, whatever it may be. He stopped there, and they asked, could we stay for the night? And they looked, we have a room, yes, no problem. And he said, this is X amount of dollars. It costs this amount. And he was short. A small amount he was short. The boy to pay, he was short a small amount of money. And they didn't have it. So they asked the owner, look, this is what's the situation, sick boy, we're here, this, that, we're trying to just get to his house, please. He says, listen, you owe us this little bit of money. You owe us, we're not going to let go for it, but what we'll do is, you could sleep here for the night, but make sure when you're all better, you come back and pay the rest. Pay the balance. Okay, no problem. They agreed on it. And he said, I agree because you come from Chaim Volozhin Yeshiva and we trust you. To make a long story short, he ends up going to his house. This sick boy ends up going to his house. And a few days later, in the yeshiva, they found out that he passed away. He passed away, he died. In any case, everybody knows that the Volozhin Yeshiva, the way they did it was that they had a 24-hour system that everybody was learning. They had like a system, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Every day, every hour on the hour, the Beit Midrash was full. Why? Because there's Ushita. Everybody understands. Without Torah, 1 second without Torah in the world, the world goes back to Hovavo, goes back to zero. So therefore, Chaim Volozhin is spread around in the Torah, and that's exactly one of the reasons why that there's different time zones in the world. Right? Over here it's day, over there it's night. So when they're sleeping, we're learning. When they're learning, they're sleeping. Whatever it may be, Hashem has a system that they will always be learning. And if you look at stories about Baalei Musad, how one time they have about the Avnei Nezer, I believe, how one time it was Purim. And he saw in the town, like, where's all the learning? And he sat down and learned. And they came to him in Shemaim, they gave him a beracha, special beracha. You tell us what you want. Because of you, the world was thin. Because at that time, everybody was doing their thing. And therefore you pulled it up. You pulled up the world for us. So therefore we're going to grant you a request. And that's why you look, Purim by Purim, what do? They have Purim Kolel. They have a special Kolel, 1 hour this time, 1 hour that time. Yeshiva Mordechai Tzaddik, father and son learning during Purim, $20 they pay each kid, and they do all these different things. Because those times, what is everybody doing? Going all over the place. But we need Torah to exist. So therefore they have these different Kolim, let's say 1 hour, different times of the day, in order to have that pumping of the Torah. In any case, that's what they had for Volozhin Yeshiva, 24-hour system of learning. That's what they did. 3 a.m. in the morning, who comes into the Beit Midrash? Chaim Volozhin was sitting there, and this dead person who died, this sick Bachur, came back. Okay, again, this is a true story, all from this, that. Real life, forget he came back, the guy came back. He was dead. He came back physically with his body. Okay? Yes. I told you, I'm telling you, it's not a hiji-biji story. It's from Chaim Volozhin, you know what I'm talking about? We're not talking about me and you. Oh, we see a person, the first yeshiva in the world. It's the first yeshiva of Chaim Volozhin. When he came to the Gaon Mevilna, he asked him to go in Vilna in the beginning. He said, no, not yet. And then after that, he gave him the okay to do it. But in the beginning, it was the first yeshiva. So you can imagine. Again, we're not talking about me and you. We're talking about Chaim Volozhin. It was Kadosh Elyon. He was a Talmud of Ravin Gaon. You understand what I'm trying to say? It's not a joke and it's not a fairy tale. It's a true story. And if you want one, each time. Anyway, so he comes to him physically with his body. He comes in.
How long after?
A few days after. And he came to Chaim Volozhin and he saw the rabbi. So my rabbi said in Shiur, and he's like, and of course Rav Chaim was Rav Chaim Volozhin. He was Kadosh Elyon, so he wasn't so nitpael. He didn't go and shock. Whoa. Says, no. He brought him. He says, no, come. Sit down. How was it in Shamayim? What did they ask you? No. Tell us. What's going on up there? What did they speak to you about? So he tells him like this, Rebbe, I was going good. I was going strong. I was on my way to Gan Eden and everything like that. And unfortunately, they stopped me. So why'd they stop you? He said, because they stopped him because he owes money to people. Who do you owe money to? He said they took him back and they said he owes money to this hotel owner, this inn. He said that he was going to come back when he's healthy, he's going to pay him back, and he never paid him back, and he owes him money. And therefore, how can we let him in if he owes a person in this world money? How can we let him in? So the good angels, they started there was a back and forth. Says the reason why they did another whole new judgment about this point. Should we let him go, not let him go? And they verified that before he died, as soon as he got back home, he gave money to the person, this yeshiva guy who was walking him home. They gave him money, and he said, "Here, on the way back to yeshiva, make sure you pay the hotel guy." So he says, but this guy forgot to pay the hotel guy for whatever reason, and he went straight to the yeshiva. But because I did my due diligence and I did that, I gave the money to somebody to give. So they're giving me granted me one request that I can speak to one person in this world, go back to speak one person in this world, and ask him, and tell him, please just take care of that this bill gets paid, please. And therefore, you're my Rabbi, I'm coming straight to you. Please, Rabbi, make sure it gets done. And then, how's that? He went to the yeshiva guy. He went to the yeshiva boy that walked him to his town. He says, let me ask you something. Did you walk? Yeah, of course I walked him. Did you stop at any hotel? Yeah. Did he give you any money? Oh, Rabbi, I totally forgot. He says, okay, stop what you're doing. Go right now, pay the hotel owner. Wow. You hear what's going on over here? I'll tell you what's going on. It's not a joke. A person owes money, you owe money. It's not a joke. I flip out sometimes. Sometimes you go to the cash register, right? And all of a sudden you're short, let's say, a quarter, right? You're short a quarter. What is the register lady? The cash register lady says, well, no, either she says pay it, or what does she say? She says, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. I tell her, excuse me, are you the owner? She says, no. I said, if you're not the owner, how do you know the owner doesn't care? You care, but you're not the boss. If the owner might care, the owner might say, listen, you're short a quarter. He might not know, but he say you're short a quarter. Maybe he's lakpid. Maybe he's really cheap and he really wants that quarter. You never know. You really don't know. You don't know. No, but saying you understand. If it's different, if the boss, it's not her money to say no. That's what I'm trying to say. But if her boss says do what you want and you're allowed to forgive money, that's also something else. But if not, you have to be careful. Story about me personally. Listen to this crazy story. Take your seatbelts now. Yeah, seatbelt. Yeah. I usually go after I heard this story about my Rebbe. So you start double thinking. What you owe, you don't owe, you this, you that. This was in Israel, and I had a thing that I used to do was every time before I went to back home to America, I was in Israel before I was learning in yeshiva. Yeah, I was going in yeshiva, and I would always go before I would go back to America. I would always go to the kotel, and I would pray my hardest, just pour it out, feel the energy. Take the cab, go straight to the flight, go back to America. And I would do this every time I would go back home, I would do that. Finally, one time, I'm going out of the hotel, I see a taxi driver, and inside the taxi driver there was a soldier. And I didn't see the soldier, and I hitched the taxi. And the taxi asked me, he said, oh, what are you doing, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Beit Vegan. Oh, he says, oh, really? He's also going to Beit Vegan. Who's he? I see a soldier in the back seat. I was like, I feel bad. I don't want to this, that. So the soldier said, no, come in. And he's going to Beit Vegan anyway. We'll split it 50-50. I said, listen, no problem, but I got to take a stop to my aunt's house. She lives towards a detour a little bit, but I need to stop there, and I'll be in and out. It'll be 2 minutes. I just have to say bye to my aunt. Thank you very much for everything. I'm going back to America, and that will be it. But it's a 2-minute stop. So he says, okay, no problem. Everybody agreed, no problem. Now, what happened was, they ended up going, and they stopped for me at my aunt's house. And my aunt lived on the top floor, like the 12th floor of the apartment building. And I told them, just give me 2 minutes in and out. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to come right back down. Okay. They waited and waited. Ends up being, I got there. For some reason, my aunt needed to show me something, tell me something, this, that. And I ended up delaying about 12 minutes instead of 2 minutes. And I go back down and I see the taxi driver left. And then I feel a little bit bad because I took a detour out of his way. And technically speaking, do I owe him the money? Do I not owe him money? I also agreed that we're going to split it and everything like that. And I just heard the story about my Rebbe, about this whole thing about Rav Chaim Volozhiner, and I got flipped out. I was flipping out. All I remember was that they had a yellow sticker, not a sticker, like a sign, a yellow sign, like it was like, I believe it was yellow, but like it had like a design on top, like a, whatever it may be, like a design, and that was the company. Anyway, it's the logo of the thing, a yellow with the logo. So I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I owe this guy money, and all of a sudden I go down, and I'm starting looking for I'm like, there's a lot of caves in Israel, and I'm looking, like, let's say by the red light, and there's some caves, and I'm looking to see if there's any yellow sign as the thing, not on the top, on the banner, on the front of his window shield. I'm looking at the window shield, looking with the logo. I don't find. Now I'm going to miss my flight to America. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Either in or not, I don't know. So all of a sudden, tears started coming down. I said, Hashem, I beg you, I can't. I don't want to come back to this world to pay back. I beg you. Do what you got to do. Help me find the guy. I trust in you. Please, I beg you, Hashem, don't let me do this. Don't let me come back to this world to pay another guy who I owe. Finally, I realized I literally have, if I don't get into the cab right now to go to America, I miss my flight back, I don't know what am I going to do. So I think to myself, I can't do this. I said, I'm going to come back to Israel back. I was like, I'll find the guy, I don't care, but I have to make my flight. But I said, come on, Hashem, I might forget, please, I beg you. Anyway, I pull the nearest cab. The nearest cab pulls up. All of a sudden he tells me, he looks at me, he says, Mata, atzbani, like, why you acting like this sad? Mata. I said, okay, do me a favor. I'm paying you to take me to my airport. Leave me alone. I just need to get to the plane. As it is, I have so much I'm out with this. I'm about to come back to this world to pay this guy money. I'm not in the mood for you. Just take me to the... This is what I'm thinking in my mind. It's like, beseder. He says, no, tagid. He said, beseder. I said, tagid. After he pulled it out of me, I tell him, look, this is the story. And I told him the whole story. And I owe this guy, for sure money because he took him out of the way. And he said, what was it? And I described to him the logo. It's a yellow logo with this. And he looks at me. Samadar! I was like, what are you, is he cursing me? I don't know what he's doing. Samadar! I was like, what do you mean? Samadar! It's like, that's the name of the cab company, the taxi company. I used to work for them 2 weeks ago. I just went to this company. I know exactly the headquarters. I was like, you're kidding me? He's like, yes. I was like, take me. He took me to the headquarters of Samadar. I go there, and I see like this small booth, the taxi booth, the register. I say, listen, I owe money. I definitely owe at least 20 shekel to the cab driver. Please, can I? He's like, sure, give it to me. I'll give it to the guy. I say, no. I'm not doing that. I remember last story. I don't know if it actually went to the guy. Do me a favor. Get on the loudspeaker. Make an announcement, מישהו לקח, מישהו בהכותל, ושם אותו, I told him the exact address, everything like that, of my aunt. So he said, I'll do it. He gets on the speaker, he gets on all the walkie-talkies of all the cab drivers, מישהו לקח, מישהו da. And I'm waiting there. 2 minutes later, I hear it on the walkie-talkie, a guy screams back to the main, what's it called, the walkie-talkie dispatcher. כן, זה אני, איפה זה? הוא גנב לי את הכסף, איפה? I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, oh my goodness, holy cow. I have it. I said, give me the dispatch thing. צדיק, אני פה, אני לא לקחתי, לא גנבתי, אני נותן לך את 20 שקל, לא, והוא ייתן לך. Tell me in Hebrew. He says, okay, זה בסדר. I said, okay, זה that, give him 20 shekels. I went back home. True story that happened. True story. You don't want to come back to pay people back. You owe money. Do what you can to pay back. Do what you can. Go all out. Make sure. As long as they bar, they this, they that, they forget. It's an important point. And if a person, heaven forbid, knows that he owes and he can't find the guy, you have to speak to your rabbi. Speak to your rabbi. Ask him exactly what to do in this situation. It's a serious situation. And even if you owe a person money, and let's say you can't find, there's situations where You speak to your rabbi and he'll guard you to it. But you don't want to come back to this world to pay a person money. How about Mike?